again to fully work on the legislations. Thank you.
Academic Affairs Committee.
So I just had meetings this Monday, and they were telling me their plans for the upcoming semester. So they're currently working on getting syllabi in SIS so students can see that before they register. They're also thinking about what to implement post COVID and what the school needs like coming out of COVID. And they also want to work on a rolling survey. So if they have any academic issues, they can input it directly to the DAs without having to go to the departments and all that stuff. And they're gonna make it anonymous unless you want to follow it. And that's all.
Civic Engagement Committee.
Another meter.
Health, Safety, and Sustainability.
We have a table with the cycling on Friday at Brody Gears from 11:30 to 1:30 p.m. And we're currently working on Earthfest on April 21st between Ability Coalition and Sex Week with Sarah.
Internal Affairs.
I am working on figuring out a new meeting time, so if you're on internal affairs, it would be nice if you filled out the meeting.
Student organizations.
We met shortly last week about potential changes to the re-registration process. And I'm meeting with Charles the week after break to talk about possible reformatting of the re-registration form. I also just got a message about a re-registration from the fall, but I don't know what to do with it. So it didn't ring the bell, but we have a re-registration.
Student Services.
So as the SGA CSAC representative, we met last Friday to discuss the provost search and a few other agenda items. On Tuesday, I met with the vice provost of Life Design, Farah Day, to discuss a number of different ideas, some of which might be presented at a GBM soon. And Senator Abiota met with Housing today, but is not here, so she will provide her updates next week as the first successful meeting via the liaison program.
I missed something. Go ahead, Janet. Yeah. I also helped interview the new assistant director and lead for student organizations. So I kind of one of those, and I think they interviewed 3 or 4 candidates last week. But Charles told me they will hire.
From there, we have caucus reports, beginning with the PETA caucus. We recently have been approached by a group of students for the major and critical diaspora studies who were interested in doing a research project for the class based on the campaign. So that's super interesting. Our proposal is there's a meeting the week after spring break with the KSS curriculum meeting for it to be approved. That's great. We don't have a senator who ran for our caucus position, so next steps is for during this special election we'll get some data. Black caucus.
Point of information. What special election?
Or after first round elections, there will be some collaboration with them. Open positions.
That's if CSE decides to hold such.
Yeah. Black caucus.
March 29th, so we hopefully this way. And what was it? And yeah, we're also encouraging students to do like writing candidates, if not to do a special election afterwards to be a representative for either cultural and identity or the Black Caucus.
This is going to be caucus.
General point of order, so people speak up so Lena can hear them for the record. The mic can hear them. So the mic can hear them too.
Disability caucus. Be real loud. Two.
We're trying to schedule a meeting if anybody who isn't already involved and interested in joining, let us know. Me, party, I would your Jackson, and
Five caucus.
We are going to start our interviews for our Fly Advisory Board. And we are also looking to have a representative for Fly Caucus. So yeah, we're on the search for that.
Hispanic Latinx caucus.
Yeah, so we are working on another proposal for a potential major here at Hawkins that has to do more of a West Coast kind of thing. Hopefully bringing here and starting that process and maybe my predecessor. Yeah. We're also we found a potential representative, and we are going to try to see if we can um, invite them for either a write up if people haven't voted for yet, or also for the special election that may be coming up soon.
WGMC.
I've been recruiting and there's somebody who ran for the position, so I hope to keep working with Elena to get the WGMC set up for next year for that person.
Okay. Last but not least, our vice report.
Hello, everybody. Happy Thursday, Tuesday. Happy Friday. Happy Election Day. It is just a busy little day to be us, isn't it? Please feel like I'm missing something else too. Please vote if you haven't. Please encourage your friends to vote. To our beautiful members of the public, please also vote. Encourage your friends to vote. There's cute little I voted stickers. Elena made some of them and they're really pretty and I would love y'all to have them and have earned them fully by voting. Please also remember to use the appropriate process of getting on the agenda. If you have things that you know are going to be happening, it would be cool to know them Sunday at noon with everything else. Obviously, you can add things to the agenda in the moment. That's why we have the process, but it would be super cool if we could know in advance. We're all killing it for the semester, and it's been a couple weeks, which is a lot of things. So keep us posted if you want to put things on the agenda. Do it. But yeah, please vote.
From there, we're going to move on to non-legislative business. We were sadly ghosted by Life Design, so we'll move on to the Gift of Life presentation. If you guys would like to come up.
So we have something.
Yes.
What's going on, guys? Thank you so much for having us.
Sorry.
Yeah, I got it. No problem. What's going on, guys? We're representing on behalf of Gift of Life. It's not an official club yet on campus. We're in the approval process right now. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of Be the Match, but it's a very similar organization for the International Bone Marrow Registry. I'm Andrew. I'm a current graduate student here. So I'm just trying to establish its presence on campus, give you guys some awareness, give a little quick pitch about it. This is Piyush. He'll give also, if you want to go more in depth of what it is.
So I'm Piyush. I'm a freshman currently on campus. So again, Gift of Life is an organization we're dedicated to diversifying and adding people to the current bone marrow registry, stem cell registry. We're looking to just educate people on the pros and cons of stem cell donation, the impact of what you can do with just a couple of minutes of your time, and the time it takes to potentially save a life. Today, we're just giving some information on how you can swab and what swabbing will do. We also have swabs with us in case anybody would be interested in joining. The overall swabbing process is actually really, really easy. It requires just a quick 5-minute form and then the completion of like a 30-second cheek swab. After this, your data is processed and sent to a biorepository where it's compared against like millions of people who are in the registry that are suffering from like blood cancers and leukemia. And if on the off chance that you end up being compatible with them with your HLA typing, you'll be contacted. If you're contacted, they'll give you the information on the actual stem cell donation process, which actually ends up being extremely easy. 90% of stem cell transplants are actually done just like donating blood. You sit in a chair, you get a free trip to Florida. It's a quick 6-hour process, and you donate your blood. You could potentially save somebody's life and just give them a second chance at beating their cancer. After that, you go back to work the next day. You're completely recovered, and the person who you end up donating to, their life changes forever. With that being said, we do just want to hopefully entice you to consider swabbing. If anybody would like to, we have swabs with us again, and we can get you added to the registry extremely quickly, extremely easily.
And I'll add some extra statistics as well. So these are a little bit dated. I've been doing Gift of Life for a couple years now, but as of like 2020 when I first started swabbing, so it's every 3 minutes in the United States, there's either a child or an adult that's diagnosed with a blood cancer, leukemia, lymphoma, or any type of blood illness. the actual chances of matching is only 1 in 400. And then of that 1 in 400 of matching, through all the clearance process, which is literally just a physical, there's only a 1 in 1,000 of actually going through for clearance for the donation. The prime age for bone marrow and stem cells, I mean, a lot of you guys, we're all Hopkins students. I'm sure you guys are a lot smarter than I am too. But it's 18 through 35 just based on how quickly you could regenerate stem cells, usually the younger people. So for 18 to 35, college students are the perfect prospects to get added to the bone marrow registry. So as we said before, it's only a few minutes to join. You're in the registry until you're 65. So you have the potential to match. Again, you get called up in that 1 in 400 chance. If you match, they call you, they give you all the options on if you want to go through with it, everything like that, until you're 65. So it's incredibly impactful, and most of the time it's very non-invasive. Recovery time is really light, but I mean, you're recovering in Boca Raton, Florida, so it is kind of a benefit to be over there. So that said, if you guys are interested in joining, you could hit the QR code, or you can go, the website's not on there. So you can hit the QR code, or I can give you guys a website. It takes a few minutes. What it asks you is demographic information, because the actual to be compatible with a cancer patient, it's a lot of like inherited traits. So diversity is huge in the registry. There's actually some pretty big discrepancies because of how often blood drives deny people. Whereas in the blood cell registry, there's no real denial process. If anything, it creates some pretty big inequities in terms of finding a match for if you're pretty much of anything that's non-white origin. The chance of matching if you enter in those groups is a lot higher just because of the inequities in the registry. Yeah, I'm sorry.
I just QR code, but it doesn't work.
No, no problem. If you guys want to go, I know the link to it. So if you go on just like any search tab, it's GOL.org/SWAB. And then that'll take you to the entrance website. If you guys want me to say it again, I can. So you're going to do find an event. Oh, you got it on there? All right. All right. You'll do find an event, and then after that, it'll say the GSA is the name of the event. And then as you guys fill out that information, preferably just because your JHU email will expire, so use a non-JHU email that you plan on keeping for a little bit. And then once it says you guys are entered, we could swap you guys, and then that'd be great. You guys have your chance to make an impact.
For information, I'm just curious, how does this vary depending on the match?
It actually is the actual process is identical. So I will preface this with saying that if you have entered Be the Match, they go to the same International Bone Marrow Registry. Yeah, so you're good to go. Yeah.
Okay.
So if you've done Be the Match, then you're good with not doing this. They go into the same registry. So the main difference in terms of the structure, they're both nonprofits. What Gift of Life does in terms of recruiting that Be the Match doesn't is Be the Match will contact campus organizations and they'll come to you, whereas Gift of Life, they do what's called Campus Ambassador Program, which is us, and it's basically like a student intern role where we like start what we're doing now. It's basically just volunteering. You get club approval, and then eventually you become a club. So the only real difference is in the recruitment process, but same goal, same initiative, big impact, really cool stuff. But yeah, is there any other questions? Anybody else?
Any motions anybody has? We could motion to take a recess to
Motion for
swap.
5 minute.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, 1 minute in the process. It's literally once you finish the survey, that's the longest part. Otherwise, it's just 10 circles in your cheek, and then you fill it out on the envelope, and that's it.
Okay, motion for 5 minutes.
5 minutes to go.
All those in favor of a 5-minute recess, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say nay. Any abstention? We guys also like to be swept up.
Yeah, it's pretty. All right. Sorry, I'll wait. Yeah, do you mind helping me hand these out? Sweet. So you can just hand out the envelopes, and I'll hand out things to anybody you want. Thank you. I really appreciate this. The box. Yeah.
Is there?
There's a camera, right? We can move down to the audio. Could open it up. Fine, that's.
And then, I thought, sorry, she got to be, I can be either.
Exactly.
Right.
They float like that, right?
What?
Go with there.
Okay.
I'm watching from
If I'm something. Hey, hi guys. Can anyone guess what the average price of one child going to daycare center for a year is in Maryland? Yes. 30K. Around there, yeah. Actually, Maryland average is around closer to 24K. I think. Can we see the next slide?
Hold on.
Yeah, oh, sorry, 26K. So closer to 30K. And that's comparable to a 4-year public college. So currently the problem in daycare center or childcare centers is that really high price, and really far if you want to find an affordable option. And also the wait lists are super high, and long because, there's a national shortage of childcare givers. So there's multiple challenges that newborn parents and young kids parents face. So Blue Hatchlings is trying to kind of solve all these problems with our new idea. Oh, yeah, skip that part. So we did a survey, and the problem nationwide was reflected in the Hopkins Parent Survey. So low cost and proximity to workplace and quality of education was what the parents were looking for. And even in Hopkins, even though we have some of on-campus or near-campus childcare center available options, waitlists are super high. One person said that her son was on the wait list from the moment she conceived him, but never got off the wait list until he went to kindergarten. So wait list super high and long, and cost also really high. On campus one costs around $2,000. No, sorry, $2,000. But yeah, so what are we doing differently? We want to be nonprofit, so we're going to cut a lot of for-profit costs, and we want to connect students and parents together. And we believe we're more reliable than like babysitters or like care.com workers that you don't really know well.
So the important thing to know about our system is that we're really using the Hopkins facilities that we have here. So we're building our product from the established institutions that we have here, such as the School of Education, which is one of our main collaborators, since they have chose to be willing to partner with us when we get this program running, and they're in charge of helping us with not only just funding our some of the costs, but also with our curriculum as well. And we are connected with some very established institutions that we're wishing to emulate, which is the Townsend School, which is School of Public Health, Maryland Family Network, and all these other institutions and faculty. And we're really drawing a lot of support from the faculty here, and just from the greater community here at Hopkins.
So how is this relevant for undergrad students? So our part of how we reduce the cost is that we're taking master's student from the said School of Public Health and School of Education as part of their practicum. So we're kind of cutting costs there. We're giving them opportunities to train and learn and kind of put what they learned in practice. In a safe place with a lead teacher, but because we have a master's student intern, we kind of cut the cost of people there. And we also want undergraduate students to also work with us. They'll be trained around 40 hours
and also on first aid, and they'll be qualified to be childcare providers in the state of Maryland. Can we go to the next slide? So another beneficial thing would be increased work study position. We're going to sponsor work study. And for anyone who wants to work with children later on, will have an opportunity to kind of build that or confirm their interest doing this. So the current challenges we're facing is we're a pretty small team still because we're a startup. We started last summer. And facility has been the largest part because one thing that we really want to push is that this is close. Because if it's far, and say the commute is like an hour or even 30 minutes, that's going to be around 30 days to 15 days difference in a whole year compared to non-parents. So that's almost a month spent on commuting. That time could be spent on bonding with your child or developing your professional work, etc., etc. So we really want to make it kind of close. Also, kids get sick really easily, so it's really inconvenient for parents to just kind of leave their job and like go get their child. So we kind of want it to be really close. Another thing, but yeah, we've been having difficulty contacting the facilities. But yeah, I guess that's one problem. And another problem, but we also have been looking for very close distance, like within a mile facilities. But and then another thing would be we would really like some awareness of our initiative because we are half alumni group, so we're kind of expanding our group into more undergrad population. And in fall, we hope to register as RSO. So I guess that's one thing. And then we were also looking for possible source of more funding for our project because we're nonprofit, we're not going to be making profit. So a lot of our startup money will have to come from funding, and since we're not going to increase our tuition. So yeah, these are some things we were hoping that SGA could support us with. Possibly, I'm actually not exactly sure if like what SG's power like limit is, but we were hoping that you could help us aware initiative, and maybe help us meet with university leadership, maybe provide us some feedback on what from your relationship and meetings with university leadership. Are there anything that you can foresee them like bringing up or not being happy about? Also, I guess another thing is, would our RSO fit under getting approval from SGA or Center for Social Concern? Is also just another question. But yeah, broadly, these two things.
Yeah, so we can talk about a little bit.
Go ahead.
So I'm talking a little bit of our milestones, as you see here. So basically, we're going towards a nonprofit trajectory, and we hope to like really involve undergraduate student workers. And we've really already established a relationship with the School of Education and the School of Public Health, so we can get that started up and running in like 1 to 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah. And so our target population is for children who are 2 to 4 because, these are the people that need it the most. And, for us, I think this would be the easiest age range to start with. Next slide. Thanks. And so basically, as we presented before, we're a little bit different from the other ones because we're a lot cheaper, we're a lot closer, and, we can maintain the same quality of care.
Any motion?
Motion for a 7-minute moderated caucus with 1 minute speech.
Okay.
All those in favor of a 7-minute moderated caucus with 1 minute speaking time, should please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say nay. Any abstentions? You guys have any? Oh, it's speakers. Second, I'll set this up. And okay, we're gonna go Jackson, no, Kaya.
So I'm Stanley Dahlhartz here, but just for logistical sake, you need 10 undergraduates to and need to maintain 10 undergraduates to apply to be an RSO. And then that process would specifically, they'll know more about it, but that would go through student organizations. With regards to meeting with university leadership, I think it is entirely possible. I think that the thing that they'll tell you is that we do not have any space on campus. That's always going to be the issue. But I think I personally, if I was working with this, what I would recommend doing is trying to find faculty members who have kids who have been looking for child centers and stuff like that, because ultimately they will be your strongest proponent. And ultimately, if you can tell them that it's going to cost less for them and it's going to be a lot closer to campus, so they don't have to worry about driving somewhere else first, they're going to love your idea, and they'll be the ones that you can kind of leverage when you're meeting with university leadership. I yield the rest of my time.
We'll go over to Dawn.
Yeah, I was going to second Jackson. I'd say when you're approaching university leadership, I'd approach people who would seek the childcare because they would want it to be more in favor of it. But I'm the chair of the student organization committee, so I'd say generally when we look at RSOs, I can't really say like definitively if it will be yes or no. I think that really depends on your application, like guiding documents, membership. But I also would say this is, and I've had to talk about this, but in terms of funding, I was just curious how the funding is going to work in terms of like we can't fund a student org that is going to pay that money to students. Like we can't just like give you money and then you pay it hourly to someone else. Ours is more for the organization or for event-based things. So that kind of funding really can't come from SGA. So I was just wondering what exactly is the lump of the money going towards? I guess exactly.
I was thinking, well, we were thinking more like arts and crafts or things that we need for the facility.
Yeah,
We'll go to Kaya.
Yeah, so I see that this is geared up to be a nonprofit organization. Generally, nonprofits do fall underneath the CSC, and I think I was just a little bit concerned about the financial thing, but just cleared that up. But yes, we cannot fund student workers.
Sophie.
Yeah, my question is kind of where you plan on having this kind of this daycare center? Is it going to be like on this campus or somewhere another campus, like any of the grad schools? And yeah, just kind of reiterating what everyone else was saying about just being able to pay the staff because yeah, that doesn't really we're like we don't have that power to do that.
For students, interns, MA interns are going to get it as a credit practicum class. Undergraduate would get it through work study and practicum. We also worked with developmental psych professors who said they would be willing to oversee a practicum class for undergrads. And for the facility, well, we were hoping it would be on Homewood campus, but if not, it would be near Homewood campus.
Elisa, and then
Yeah. So I have two questions. Number one, how much money are you expecting that this, like, how much do you think this is gonna cost to start this, to have a first class? And then my second question is like, I get like why would we, this is gonna sound really mean, but I don't mean to sound mean, just practical, but why would we choose to fund this, or like why would you choose to go in this direction as opposed to like creating scholarships for the daycare that we already have?
Because it's not just the price that is the problem, but long wait lists. The daycare centers have a lot of shortage in people, and they can't have more people physically because of facilities.
And an additional thing is that what the faculty really want is to have a space so that they can also do developmental psychology research as well. So we're trying to promote this additionally as which based on our model Townsend, which is what we're basing our model off of. They're daycare center first and foremost, but they're also a lab setting for students and for faculty to use as a. Excuse me, sorry about that.
Non-invasive. It's only
Yeah.
observation.
Observational studies as well. Yeah.
Space where parents can like leave their kids, but then their kids are also research subjects. Like, is that gonna? Do you expect that to cost more money?
No. videos.
There are reasons stuff that have to be built. That's not free.
That would be on the faculty who want to do any observational studies.
We're gonna finish Jackson and Bella and then Jason.
So going back to, I think that's actually a pretty good point about the fact that you should probably reach out to IRB boards or whatnot just to make sure that they're going to be fine with this and you're like dotting all of your I's. Another point that I had just about the whole thing about the wait lists. Let's say that this program is really successful and it works, it like takes off everything. Isn't it going to end up with a large wait list anyways?
Yeah. There's 100 infants per daycare center on waitlist. We will probably only maybe help 100 at maximum capacity. The other 200 but we were hoping that this 100 could still help the 100 kids. And also, I've talked to some undergrads who wanted more opportunities to work with younger kids. And I thought this would also be a good opportunity for undergrads to have more hands-on experience working with the pediatric population.
I'll finish with you and then we can send.
I was just gonna say generally, I mean, I think it's a really good idea. I would just say, with RSOs, you can also get like departmental funding. I don't know if that would at all what you've gotten already, but you could approach the dev psych department and ask for funding through their department. I know a lot of departments actually have like a separate allocation for student organizations, and you can be an RSO through the department, and they might be more keen to allow you to make an hourly funding. I think it's just kind of like it doesn't really make sense for SGA to fund it because we're supposed to be like funding the undergraduate student experience, not like daycare workers for like the employees of the university. So I would just say that might be not a better route, but a different route you could try, maybe like DevPsych or like just other academic departments that this could fall under if they're doing research in it. It might also fall under like research grant type of things.
Thank you.
Anyone want to motion to send? If not, then we can just round of applause. Up next, we have, as soon as I switch this, we have Copa America from Colombia.
Me being proactive. Look at you, you saw all of that.
Okay. First time you get to meet from the front. So we have Club Colombia and Associates. They're creating this like kind of World Cup, if you will, with the idea of like being able to fund different organizations. I'm not going to say too much because I want them to do it, but I think, in my opinion, it's reasonable and it brings out a lot of like Hispanic, Latino passion that we have to soccer. Okay, bye. So yeah, hi, my name is Maria Camila. I'm an international student from Colombia. I'm a senior, so this is my last year here. Yeah.
President of Rising Precisely Association, and I'm a junior.
I'm Luis. I'm a junior. I was born in Colombia, and I'm vice president of Colombia.
Yeah, so today we're gonna present like an event proposal that we have called Copa America Hopkins. Do any of you guys know what Copa America is or what it means? Do you know? Do you want to share?
Isn't it basically just like the Euro except for like the America? So it's kind of just like the like a football, like a international football tournament, but for like countries in North and South America to compete in North America, but yeah.
But yeah, basically that's what it is. And for all of Latin America, it's the second most important like sports competition besides the World Cup.
The Copa America is the third most watched football competition, and it's the oldest continental football championship in the world. So
Before the Euro.
yeah, so we are very passionate about football or soccer. I don't know. But yeah, this brings out a lot of national pride, and we think it can be a really great way to unite the Latinx community here at Hopkins. Just sort of bridging those gaps that we have, and really bringing us all together behind something that we all love, just by virtue of our country and our national pride.
No, I said that's fire.
Just like a bracket of what the competition would look like. Ideally, we want to have 8 different nationalities represented in the competition. We've already, so Brazil is here. They're already involved with the planning and everything for Colombia. Then we've already established that the Mexican American Student Association will also be participating and helping out CAUSA, which is the one of the best one. And then the Puerto Rican Student Association would also have a team competing. And then there's 3 additional nationalities that don't have organized student groups on campus that we haven't really decided, but we want 3 additional nationalities to be represented, and we will be deciding that based on demand by the people that want to play and the people that want to see this competition. So yeah, basically the way it would work, 8 teams, as I already said, 5 have already been established, 3 others will be determined by demand. Some of those could be Argentina, Peru, Costa Rica, Ecuador, Uruguay. There's a lot of countries that are possible. We're just trying to wait and see what the community sort of wants to see in the competition. And we will play the tournament in football 7 structure, which makes it so that each game is a little bit shorter. Well, actually, like, kind of a lot shorter than the football 11 structure, which is the one that you guys, like, everyone sees in the actual competitions. And each team, that means each team will have 11 players, and only 7 will be playing at a time. And so the tournament itself will all ideally happen in one day in a period of 5 hours. First, we would be playing 4 games, which comprise the quarters sort of round of the competition. And so 2 games will be played at the same time, which means four teams will be playing against each other, and then the other 4 teams will go. Then the 4 winners from that round will advance to the second round, which is those 4 winners will go on and play the semifinals, and then we would have the 3rd and 4th teams compete against each other, and the 1st and 2nd teams compete against each other for a total play time of 3 hours 45 minutes. And the event itself will last around 4 hours with like prep time and additional things that we're planning to incorporate into the event in between when the games are played, and also accounting for the time needed between the rest period. And so, the way we're gonna reach out to other people to see what other nationalities are going to be represented and who's going to be playing in these teams is we're going to be sending an interest form, either a Google form or a Microsoft form. We've already reached out to the Portuguese department, to the Spanish department, to the new Latin American studies and Caribbean studies and Latinx studies major, and they're going to be sending out this form to attract people to play, but we actually want to encourage absolutely anyone who wants to play football to join. These nationalities will be represented, but we're gonna accept anyone from any ethnicity, any nationality, any background, whoever is interested in just being a part of this event that wants to highlight the Latinx community on campus can be a part of it. So yeah.
Just around the previous thing, I just wanted to add that some student orgs have more members than others. So at Brazil, we have a lot of members, so we'll probably be able to field the whole team by ourselves. But other groups that don't have as many represented, you'll have like people or anybody to join if they want to. So next slide. So Club Colombia came to Brazil about coordinating this event. The big thing that Brazil is going to be doing is coordinating the teams, creating an event on campus groups. I mean, it's all pretty rudimentary stuff. And of course, we're going to have people running the event at the event, both Brazil and Club Colombia. So I mean, we're Brazil, so we're Brazilian, so we're never gonna win. So actually, what was most important for us was to actually use this as a fundraising opportunity for the Amazon rainforest. As you guys know, it's being deforested at higher rates than ever. The rainforest is being destroyed, so we want to use this event as an opportunity to raise funds to donate to an Amazon conservation charity or fund. Next slide. And the way that we're going to raise funds here is we're going to have an entry fee for each player to enter the tournament, which is $2. And we're also going to have snow cones, which will be sold for $1 each. And then there's going to be a raffle to win a Brazil jersey. Of course, best team in the world.
So now a bit of the planning timeline. Today's our presentation. Then we're gonna try to begin advertising the event as soon as possible once we get everything cleared and we're sure that we can actually set this up. Sending out the interest form is going to be the next step. So that's pretty much as soon as we come back from spring break, start getting the interest form sent out to people so we can start getting numbers, fielding teams, figuring out who's playing for what, all those logistics. On the 10th, we want to close the interest form and then review submissions. So that's where we'll actually do all the sorting, the matching, the grouping, whatever needs to be done to make sure that all the teams are roughly equally distributed and all the logistics. The 13th, we'll be sending team results to players and the general public so everybody knows who they're playing with, who's representing who. We have some nice little mock-ups we'll be making. And then on the 20th, we plan to have the team meeting. So this is when if people don't know each other on any given team, they'll be able to meet each other. They'll be able to figure out rosters, who likes playing where, give out numbers, which we'll get into in a bit. But yeah, that's just kind of an opportunity for all the teams to get together with their members, figure out what they're going to do, what their game plan is before match day, which I've been in touch with the rec, and it seems like the 7th is going to be the best day for them to be able to host that. So for May 7th, they haven't gotten back to me with an exact time yet. But I've been in touch with them, with Gabby, who's the sports person, and then he forwarded me to some other contacts. And we're figuring the exact time out. So now we get to the nitty gritty of it. The budget is, obviously we need to pay for a bunch of things for this. So we want pennies for players, just so you can tell who's playing for what, right? Not everybody has a soccer jersey or appropriate clothing or the color or whatever. So this would just be an easy way to differentiate teams. We found these cool packs of pennies that have numbers, so everybody can have their number. I don't know if anybody's ever played a sport. I feel like your number is really important to you, and so if you could have that to represent, I think that would be a blast. And then we have a bunch of colors there, to have the different teams represent their countries, trying to match the colors as best we can to the countries, but there is a lot of overlap, so we'll have to figure that out. And then, obviously, we need to keep people fed and hydrated. So, some protein bars for the players, some Gatorades, and then flags for the attendees, or people that come to watch, people that come to represent their country. Again, this is an event where we're promoting our diversity and our cultures, and so we want not just the players to be involved, but everybody that comes to watch, right? I know my friends are going to come out and watch. Maria Camila's inviting her friends. Like, the goal is to make this a big community event, not just for the players and not just for the Latinx community, but for the broader Hopkins community as well. So if we can have people come out, show their support for our countries, more than welcome, and that's kind of what that's going for. So yeah, some flag banners as well. Again, same concept as with the other flags, and then the medals for the team. So we're having the finals, and we're also having the third and fourth matches. So just be cool little award ceremony. Just to feel, a sense of accomplishment once you've actually finished this, and then a nice trophy for the winning team to take home. Take their national pride with them. And then this next stuff was my major contribution to this whole thing, because I think it'd be really fun to give out some individual recognition for all the blood, sweat, and tears that you'll pour into this one-day tournament. The Golden Boot Award, we're kind of mimicking, some actual trophies that are given out, but Golden Boot, so whoever scores the most goals, Golden Glove for whoever we determine to be the best goalie, and then obviously you need the GOAT trophy for whoever the best overall player is. So, just some ideas to, again, sort of build up the hype, get people involved, right? If your team gets out early, but you scored a ton of goals, or if you're a great keeper, or if you just played really well, we still want people, to be involved and feel the hype of the event and make it feel closer to the actual thing, as close to the actual thing as we can. And so this is all kind of going towards that end.
Yeah. So another thing that we want to incorporate is snow cones. That's sort of going to be like the main way that we're going to raise funds for the Amazon Conservation nonprofit that we end up choosing. But we also thought snow cones would be another great opportunity to highlight like diversity on campus, and so this is sort of like the way we're going to serve the snow cones is by drawing flags of the different countries on them. And so instead of asking for like, I don't know, like a blueberry snow cone, you'll ask for like, can I have the Mexican one or like the Colombian one or whatever. So yeah, and it's also a great opportunity for people to like learn flags. You know, it's always a good thing to know like the sort of like sense of identity that other people have towards these things. Yeah. So yeah, these are the things that we need for the snow cones. Just a machine, ice, the syrups, and then the cups to serve them. And yeah, as we already said, there's also going to be, we're planning on also having a raffle to raise more funds and give out a Brazilian jersey to whoever ends up winning the raffle. People would pay $3 to enter the raffle. And we also wanted this to be an opportunity to share food and share some food that sometimes isn't as showcased as other Latinx identities. And so I don't know how many of you have had Venezuelan food before, but there's a very cool family that lives in Fells Point, near Fells Point here. They have their own small business called Arepi. They're actually at the Fells Point Farmer Market every Saturday if you want to go out and support, but they've shown a lot of interest in coming here to campus for the first time and selling their food and sharing that with everybody. And in order to come, we would have to pay like a transport fee, but they actually agreed to come for free if there's more than 150 people coming to the event or registered for the event because it's just such a big opportunity for them.
So in terms of the final budget, like I just talked about basically everything. This is just like a revisionary slide, but the reason why we have these two values here is just because of that caveat that like I just talked about with the IDP business waiving the cost if we get enough people to show up. I mean, 150 people for a school of over 7,000 undergrads shouldn't be that hard, but we'll see. Hopefully, we can do it.
Minute Q&A or yeah, Q&A. Yeah, 10 minutes. Motion for a 10-minute Q&A, 1 minute speak.
Second.
All those in favor for a 10-minute Q&A with 1 minute speak times, please say aye. Those opposed, please say nay. Any abstentions?
First off, next, I guess a couple of the questions I have is have you already talked to like the Caribbean club? I mean, yeah, Caribbean
Culture
Society, Culture Society, to see if they have a couple of students who can because they have a huge demographic that might be able to like cover at least Dominican Republic, Haiti, maybe something else as well.
Well, besides the clubs that represent like specific nationalities, which are the ones that we've already reached out to, we haven't really reached out to anyone else, and we're hoping that there's more Caribbean teams in it and also more Central American teams as well. So yeah, we're just gonna be reaching out to the general Latinx population, and if the Caribbean Student Association is willing to send that form out as well to all the people that are a part of it, that would be really good. Yeah.
I would definitely recommend that you guys reach out to them soon because they would. I'm honest. Okay, move my time.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, so I know you guys said that the event is supposed to be May 7th. Are you worried that like because it's after classes end and like during like reading finals week, are you worried that's gonna decrease turnout or?
So, when I was organizing the event with the rec staff, the previous weekend is spring fair, so they're not allowing the practice fields to be used. And then anything before that just wouldn't allow for like all the logistics that need to be done to organize the event to like carry through. So that's the most reasonable date. I also don't think it'll be a significant factor. Most people are gonna, I mean, they'll be on campus, right? It's not like a substantial break where anybody's gonna be leaving. And I think people will appreciate the small break, you know, to just get out, have some fun with their friends before they have to hit Brody until God knows when, to study for finals. So no, I'm not too concerned about that.
Nice.
Sorry, I didn't do a country accent.
I know.
That aren't necessarily from the nationalities, but you already mentioned that, so I think that's cool. Have y'all reached out to like the soccer team to maybe like borrow their equipment or if they can do anything to help y'all or fund y'all? That they might be able to, I don't know.
Well, I think equipment that we need would pretty much just be like soccer balls if we can get from the rec. So there's not much like the goals are out on the field always. So there's not really much we need equipment wise. It's more like day of type stuff, like the food, the snacks. I mean, nobody's gonna give us that. So that's a little bit tougher. And then yeah, for what you mentioned earlier with like other people that aren't part of nationalities, part of the interest form is like, what country do you want to play for? And then likely give a few options just because like what Victor is saying, right? If we can't have like 50 people play for Colombia or Brazza and then like nobody left for the other country. So we'll have to split it out. And we'll try to accommodate people accordingly, but that's something we'll deal with once the results come back.
Oh, have y'all contacted like Will Kirk or his office for like photography, videography of the event? Because I think that could be cool too. And that's a free option for getting photos and videos of the event.
Yeah, actually, we have some people in Club Columbia that wanted to go themselves to the DMC and get some cameras and shoot some videos and like possibly have some sort of like compilation, maybe like best goals or whatever or something like that. So yeah, we've had Will take pictures of him before. We like him a lot, so it would be cool for him to be there too. Yeah.
It's all hard.
I know the reading is wrong. Do you guys see you're buying ice from Amazon?
Yeah. We don't even know how that works, but
Really get ice from somewhere around campus because I bet it's been done before and maybe it can be done for dining or someone. So I don't think we should fund bags of ice from Amazon like that's like that.
What if it
That's it.
7-Eleven has some bags of ice in there?
yeah, it's it. We included links for Amazon things just because usually that's the easiest thing for MLC, and we weren't really sure like what would be easiest for you guys or like how it would specifically work showing you what we want. But yeah, for sure, we're down to buy stuff from like different places. These are sort of like the prices we use to estimate how much we're gonna need.
Sure.
Oh, thank you so much for bringing this event. I think it's a really cool idea. I wanted to ask if you're presenting this to get funding from SGA or if you're gonna split between the clubs or if you get like someone like OMA or someone else to fund it, like how is the community for this grant?
Yeah, so we're here to request funding for you guys because Club Columbia is a new club. This is our first semester. We don't have any money. Yeah. So this is we need the only way that we're gonna be able to host events is by asking other orgs for money. But yeah.
It was point.
Yeah, has,
However,
Have any of the clubs considered doing an event funding request for this since we're also doing a Hawthorne Troops event? That could help subsidize some of the funding instead of doing co-sponsorship through SGA or in conjunction with the co-sponsorship.
We're more than willing to do that. Yeah, if you guys let us know how to.
So
Yeah, I really like this event. And my question is, where will you guys store like the snow cone machine? That's like my only question.
I mean, but
Like the ice,
Yeah.
you're saying? Oh yeah. Well, I work for the Outdoors Pursuit department or like office or whatever in the rec. And we have a little office that faces the practice field, and there's a fridge in there that we can use for storing the ice and stuff.
Oh, sorry, I meant the snow cone machine, like the actual ice making, like.
like the machine itself. I mean, that would probably be either in Maria Camila's apartment or my own. I mean, we don't have like a Club Columbia space, so
we have a little space in MOC, but if it doesn't fit in there, we're down to keep it wherever. Yeah.
Jackson.
Yeah, I was just going to, this kind of got answered, but just in terms of timeline, I would strongly suggest the event request if that makes sense. But if you do pursue funding from SGA, you would have to write up a bill that we would then pass, but that will be after spring break. So I just want to make sure that that would still be enough time for you guys to be able to get all of your logistics together.
Yeah, I mean, this has been around for a while, so we can put it or but pretty easily. And then whatever the difference is, we can write up a bill or whatever you guys need and bring right to cover the rest of the cost.
Yeah, there's
Okay. Next is Kaya.
Yeah, I've been talking about reaching out to other orgs, but I know, like you said, Columbia had a lot of members. Express had a lot of members. I mean, couldn't they play for another team?
That's so fraud. Have Brooklyn plan for Argentina.
They could, and that's also part of the point of the interest form, right? Is if we do have a side that's lacking substantial numbers, or if there's like 3 people on a team, we'll just shift our members around, to make sure that everybody's accommodated, because we do want full representation there. So that's the priority.
We'll probably run out of time to follow, and then we guys go.
But, yeah, I was just gonna say if anything ends up happening, I guess the second whatever, or Jackson. Yeah, what Jackson was saying. If y'all need to contact anyone, just you already have her, and also me if you.
And also me if you.
Does anyone have any other?
You could also consider donating the snow machine to SG Closet.
We have, if it makes you happy, we have, I think, a cotton candy machine. I forgot how to say cotton candy. We have a cotton candy machine that can also be a solid obligation.
We still have the box option.
Oh, we still have to do it.
We'll go to Jeff's question and then we'll go.
I realize that you do comment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then at least can come and like go off.
Actually, tell what I did it. Yeah, I heard you did too, but everything else. You walked on the street.
Next, our Fiji president.
I just can't get it.
You have a PowerPoint? I do, but I was asking if you had it. If not, I think we sent it. Send it to me by email. I mean, it's Fiji Island. Yeah. I love it.
Yes.
That's not me. Oh, I'm sure that. You good? Yeah.
Even as it, that's it.
What do you have to say?
No,
Oh wait, there's whole.
that's a lot checked out.
How are you on notes? Yes. I didn't get a sample. After
we're
Table it. Funny. I know say that. Systems. We think about good. This is section. I was
The input might be that they buy out. I don't think shit. That's not I just sit on. Second years are best. But I stood this meeting second. Absolutely. Second. Yes, let me do that. Yes. I'll play more in the whole place. It's hard to talk to you on the material line, but I'm going to do the best. Yes, no problem. Lots of study.
I also have it on my laptop to do a feature.
It's a lot of things. Although the name.
Do you want me to email it to you? Yeah. I think you guys would know the PDF. So you can actually log in.
After the other time. The transfer for 500. Like the location of the issue. Send a reach out. That was 500.
Alright, what's your email?
They were trying me.
What's cute? With DREG?
A lot of stuff in there. Also, the one
DREGIERY@JHmedia.
like the one I mean, it was like the one like a great idea. Matthew Golden, the name of the original every now and then.
I'm just gonna send the link.
He said that they'd be willing to do it. But he was trying to get a speaker across. He said no to everyone. Like maybe some other person or some faculty member or someone that might give me it as well as maybe feeling it's like freedom for them and then the
Got it.
Well, not a professional thing, but you know, like the favorite games. The other idea of being her by Hopkins, they were like a lot of people in the detailer. It's a good way to generate conversation. I think I'm just gonna show yeah, I am an admin of one computer. Like people insurance and like affiliated but we'll see. I don't know what it's after it's like 555. No, 5 and 5. I'm sure you've been hearing like different plans and what's it keeps coming up. Like there's nothing that they're going to do about that.
I also just brought it to you guys.
Yeah. All I can probably do the next one. I got it. Looks like the code and you know code No, that's the fight. Why someone is a meaning from all we did is just everything. Just that's right. It's and does that.
Have our future Islander proposal. Alright, sorry about that, guys. Hello, my name is Marwan. I am the Islander chair this year. I was president of Fiji last year. I also oversaw Islander. Hopefully, you guys were able to make it last year. If not, next one for the month.
So we wanted to present this to you guys, tell you a little bit about the event, and hopefully you guys will buy some tickets. So yeah, we can get into this. So this is kind of the agenda for this meeting. So I'm going to tell you guys a little bit more about Islander, the 5 W's, if you will. A look at last year's Islander, a look at this year's Islander and how it's going to be different, and then our proposal, as well as some time for questions for you guys. Yes, so background of Islander. So Islander or Island Party is essentially largest philanthropy event of the year, typically held on President's Garden. This year is the same thing. It's basically like a giant beer garden. We have beer trucks, food trucks, a bunch of games. It's a fun time. And then the proceeds allow us to help the community. So last year, the proceeds went towards the Warm Up Foundation, which worked on essentially mitigating relationship abuse. So we're happy to help that foundation. This year, we're doing a more local approach. We're going to be donating the proceeds to Baltimore Design School, which I'll talk a little bit about in a second. This is the 5 W's and how. So who's going to Islander? It's going to be Hopkins students, faculty, alumni. The ticket sales will be off of campus groups or Hopkins groups, so people will be able to buy tickets through there. It's basically, like I said, massive outdoor party filled with music, games, food, drinks. It's a fun time. It will be April 15th from 2 to 7 p.m. That time frame, 2 to 7 p.m., hasn't been absolutely confirmed yet. It's most likely 2 to 7. If not, it'll be 2 to 6. But, around that time frame. It's going to be in the President's Garden, like I said. Net proceeds will go towards the Baltimore Design School. And then how we've been supported the SGA. So last year, let's take a look real quick at what happened last year. So we had around 750, 800 people at the event. 2 food trucks, 1 beer truck. We had a halal food truck and I think Be More Greek. And then we had Peabody Heights for beer. Of course, lawn games, a pottery stand. So if that doesn't make sense, I make pottery. I sold some of my pottery last year at Islander. And then we had a student DJ. We had Lace for a guest, which was a lot of fun. And then we raised around $5,000 that will be going to the One Love Foundation. So we're very happy about that. Okay. And then, quick look at this year. So just for context, I guess last year's Islander was the first Islander we had in a few years because of COVID, obviously. And so it wasn't as much of it was still a very big Islander, but we're thinking that this year will be even bigger, especially because this year Islander will be during alumni weekend. So we'll have all those alumni coming in, which is obviously going to increase the amount of people there. Like I said, on track to have at least the same number of guests as last year. We already have 2 food trucks and the beer truck locked down. So the 2 food trucks are going to be Cooper's. Hopefully you guys know Cooper's Chowhound. They're burgers. And then they're going to bring a second truck that's going to have like Mexican food options. And then for beer, we're hiring Heavy Seas Brewery. So excited about that as well. And then besides that, everything else is pretty much the same. Lawn games. We'll see about the pottery. I don't know if I have enough time, but hopefully. And then, all proceeds will go to Baltimore Design School, which is a public transformation school that offers comprehensive college preparatory program that empowers Baltimore youth. Essentially, it's a K-12 school. The reason that we're going with this as our organization of choice is because one of the brothers last semester volunteered with them and noted that they were very underfunded. And essentially, this school allows Baltimore youth to go through programs that are going to help them get into top schools. So they have architectural programs, fashion programs. I think there's 3 different tracks that you can go into. But the brother that volunteered there, his name is John. He was telling us about it, and he essentially told them that we could help them out. I've been in contact with the school, and it seems like a great idea. So that's what we're going with, and we wanted to get a more local approach on helping the community. So that's what we're going with this year. I'll keep it quick here. But essentially, our proposal. So last year, I believe it was the student. So it's SGA and SCC, the senior council, bought 400 tickets. So general admission tickets for Islander are $10 each ahead of time, and then $12 at the day of the event. Last year, you guys bought 400 tickets for $8 each. And you guys gave all those tickets for seniors, essentially first come, first serve. And if you're a senior, you can get those tickets for free. This year, we're proposing that you guys buy some more tickets. So we're hoping you guys could buy anywhere from 600 to 800 tickets. Why the increase? Just because we think that this is going to be a larger Islander. And last year, the 400 tickets you guys bought sold out, I think, almost immediately. I was watching my computer, and within an hour, it was gone. And so, since seeing the success of last year, we wanted to offer that with a slightly higher discount this time. So proposing around $6 each per ticket there. If you guys think that's too much of a commitment, we'd be happy with a similar deal as last year, but really excited to get a bigger approach this year. And that's pretty much it. Yeah.
I will now open the floor to any motions.
Motion for a 5-minute moderated caucus with 1 minute speaking.
Second.
All those in favor of moving into a 5-minute moderated caucus, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say nay. Any extensions?
So the smallest estimate that might cost us would be $3,600.
Right. Yeah.
Again, it is a good cause, and I think this is a really good event. I'm just not sure. We have limitations on our budget at this point, just because of the amount of requests that we've gotten from different clubs. So I think that it might be a little bit more difficult for us to just like be able to give out as much money. But again, I think it's a great cause, and I think it's a great project. Ultimately, if we had a giant amount in our budget still, I think that we would want to support it with as much as we can. I yield the rest of my time.
Sorry, just one information, like how much do we have?
We currently have
8,063.19.
Sounds like you can do it. But obviously, like if money is unlimited, then of course you can present. If you guys aren't able to make a large commitment like $3,600, we could still work with you guys for however many tickets you guys are willing to buy. The reason we wanted to propose more than last year is because of, again, like I think this year's going to be a much larger event given the time frame. And then also just the fact that last year the demand was so high that it went out instantly. So if you guys want to extend that option to not just seniors, but maybe like, every class has 200 tickets, for example, that are free for the first come, first serve. Or you want to extend that just to the senior class and give them more options for free tickets and give people a great send off. That's also your choice. But just wanted to give that option to you guys.
I just had a quick question. So is this event only for seniors or just?
Yeah, so that's a great question. No, so this event is open for everybody, faculty, staff, alumni, etc.
If I remember correctly, you said initially there will be like beer trucks and stuff.
Yes.
So if it's open for everybody, how is like freshmen will have to present actually freshmen can't even go, right? Beer.
No, freshmen can go. So that's a good question as well. So yeah, we have to go through like a lot of regulation. Like obviously we can't just have beer out and like let everybody come. So we hire security, which is one of our expenses. They ID everybody at door. If you want essentially a wristband to drink, you need to get ID'd. If you just say like I'm under 21, like they'll let you in as long as you have a ticket to Islander. But yeah, so if you do want to drink, you have to get ID'd by security first. And we don't handle any of that. Like we make sure that the security we hire handles that to make sure that like no one lets their friends in without checking their ID, for example.
So
Yeah, I really like Fiji Islander. And again, it's a great cause that you guys are fundraising for. There is another route that you guys could take if SGA can't directly run you guys. You guys could do like an event request where we can fund you through our and like finance committee, like our like grant pool from SAC. So there's always that option. So yeah, I just wanted to let you know that.
All right, yeah, thank you. Afterwards,
I think also last year the money actually came from the senior class council specifically instead of not overrush.
Because all the students for this junior class.
I think does anyone have any more?
Say so to the to the junior and senior class specifically. I mentioned this maybe a couple weeks ago in the teams. I was like, hey, you can buy tickets to the beer garden at Spring Fair and give them out. You can do that here, like you all as classes. Like if I know people were interested in that idea. The Spring Fair beer garden tickets are more expensive than these. So if you still want to do a similar vibe to that, but at a cheaper cost to you all, I think that might be the move. Not telling you what to do, but just advising, as they say. So I love it. I hope it's gonna be good round this year.
It's gonna be fun. I'm looking forward to it. At the end, but
The senior class concert use like some of their budget. Is that possible?
Information, how much should the senior class have?
Oh, I'm not saying you have a lot of money.
Yeah.
Bistro.
Sorry, going back to speakers list. It makes sense for the SGA, for the general SGA to maybe match the senior class. I think that might be a good way to not take too much out of our main budget, or the senior class's budget, and both be able to contribute to this. That would be my proposal. I yield it.
And does anyone have anything else? Oh, okay.
Have our people talk to you, so that our people can talk to you, so that we can get some good.
Brandon, do you want to wrap up?
Yeah, I was gonna say we're gonna when it like the SGA budget should be open to like other classes to go as well, or should we expect to just
Yes. Yeah, so this is kind of my point here. So last year, I think there was a senior client council that bought the 400 tickets for 3,200. And I think the reason being was that it was only for the senior class. And the way that it works is that like everyone still registers through Hopkins groups, so we just input 400 tickets, price is $0, and it's only for seniors. If you guys want to extend that up, that's completely up to you. I don't really have a preference for who you guys want to extend these free tickets out to. You guys just have to let us know essentially, and then we'll input all that stuff into Hopkins group. But like, let's say there's a case where you guys want to buy the 800 tickets and you want to do 400 juniors, 400 seniors, or 200 of every class, whatever it is, we can input that very easily the same way. So it's really up to you guys on how much of a commitment you want to make and who you want to give that commitment to. Last year was pretty fun just in the seniors that like everybody, seniors are basically the only ones that could drink, so like they just got into free essentially.
Only seniors, y'all. Every senior is gonna get it free.
I'm with that also.
You know, like every year, the seniors are gonna get it.
With that, we are out of time. We can motion to extend, or we can offer a round. Up next, we have our storefront discussion with Secretary Revere.
I'm not gonna call you.
So I'll let you do this. So send it to
Why is this?
Secretary Revere or Milton.
She needs this. You know, like this. I shouldn't have been against that. Okay. I was still missing. Oh, can we use the shooting others?
We can introduce them also that question.
It can be really close.
7 names in the following times. Move this really quick. So basically, we want to like do like a marketplace where people can like buy like sweaters and shirts from the different designs. If you recall, we did like a giveaway last semester where we did like the winter sweater design. But yeah, make sure you have this open. Good. Go. Yeah, we gave away that winter sweater design, and people like really like wanted that design. So we basically want to allow people to like buy like a certain seasonal design if they wanted to. So we want to like open that marketplace on Hopkins Group so anyone can buy it. We want to possibly work with what's called Fresh Prints, and as like our supplier, and we made like a spreadsheet of like all the possible, quantity amounts that people buy and how much that would cost. So we just outlined that all there, and yeah, that's basically it. The what? Oh, game plan. Oh yeah, that's just obviously. Um. So yeah, we want to do a yeah, that's pretty much it. Is there anything else, Elaine, you want to?
If we buy more, they cost less, but we have to have some sort of price on Hopkins Groups that stays constant. So our current idea is to have a minimum order commitment by SGA, and we will base the price off of that. And then if the price goes down as people order, then the difference between what we charge them and what the item ends up costing will subsidize the purchase that we made. Or if you get a lot of purchases, we could even make a profit.
Yeah. Motions?
This isn't like a funding bill or anything. It's just like putting it on your radar to keep in mind for future funding. If we end up being broke, we could just cancel the whole thing after. And
not buy anything.
Yeah, so the game plan is just to like get like the marketplace on the Pockets group, like Diana said she would set that up. And then after we're gonna work on marketing that and then see how many people like are willing to buy it and just go from there. Yeah.
So I have to do a motion, can I just ask a question? Point of information? Are these like, what is the price is gonna, well, I know we all just talk about prices, don't really know, but would it be like more expensive or less expensive than the Barnes and Noble place?
Less.
Way cheaper,
Here. Nice.
Nobles like
We're not scamming.
Yes.
okay.
Point of information.
Yeah.
It's kind of in that topic, not with Barnes and Noble, I hate Barnes and Noble. But is there any way, have you discussed maybe possibly like licensing SGA designs to administration or seeing like if they would be willing to support, because they probably have a larger infrastructure for like supporting this kind of like bulk purchase and selling. And they might be interested in doing something like this that would directly go to students.
We could work with Lead, right, Blaine? Lead often buys us smart.
Yeah, I don't necessarily know how to do that, but I guess we'll figure it out.
Yeah, that's something we can work on.
Is that all? Any? Now let's go on first grade. Calvet Phi Delta Best.
Oh, I guess I'm presenting tonight. Okay.
So if you all remember from last week, we had representatives from Phi Delta Theta come and present about CrowdFest, their philanthropy event, which we're hoping to co-sponsor, collaborate with them on. So if you recall from last week, some of the things that came up were, for example, how much can we charge and like how should we charge attendees? And how much we're willing to donate to the event or like to co-sponsor for the event. So effectively what we have here is their initial proposal. I think what we should try to end up with tonight is some type of counter proposal based on what Senate is interested in. Obviously it has like, it's like 6,000 something that exceeds our, our current capabilities. So in general, they're looking for, what we would like them to charge attendees and how much they or how much we can donate to them.
Motions.
Motions, well.
This is first reading.
Motion.
Good. Motion to move into a 10-minute moderate caucus for 4 minutes meeting.
Any seconds?
Second.
All those in favor of moving into a 10-minute moderate caucus, please say aye.
Aye.
Please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say nay.
Nay.
Any abstentions? That means we're pulling up. Woo! Clicker. Pretend this is it.
No, we have to fix that.
Oh, okay.
Don't vote.
Don't vote. Don't vote.
Can you see it?
So you definitely have more than 14 people in this room, so please.
I think we should count. I think we should just count.
On a different
We have quorum.
Oh, yeah.
We have quorum. Quorum is half plus one.
No, we don't. Half is 28.
Because no, it's half of three.
So wait,
It's gone. The quorum count. Wait, don't count exact. You know, and
Then it should be 14 people.
so we don't.
1, 2.
We also.
Gotcha. That was shit.
There's 17 people. There's 17 people.
Lisa and.
Yeah, we have quorum. Let's just go. Let's go. Have a
Don't we need 7 people?
No, if people don't want to vote, that's their problem. We have a quorum. That's
Wait, I guess it's
Abstain, yeah. Well, an abstention on this.
An abstention by default.
There's also an abstention option on the screen.
If you don't know what to say, you say.
We've never hit the full list of names.
Let's give a roll call. It's patient.
We will now move into a about 10-minute monitoring caucus.
Yeah. Okay. So the first comment on this is that I think it would be in SGA's interest to make a spreadsheet of the amount of money that we have left and the amount that people are proposing to SGA, and that we have just an idea of all these different proposals that are on the table with the money amounts. And I would highly, highly encourage this to the executive treasurer of SGA to do. And besides that, we cannot fund $6,000 for this event. Like, not with all the other stuff on the table. I would say that I think $3,000 to $2,500 is more reasonable. But I'm also going to recuse myself from future discussions on this event until after the elections, because I don't think it's fair for me or Ryan to have too big of a say on this.
Wait, Red, raise up your hand just for me. Everett, raise up your hand, and then I'll write your name down. Going left, right. Mufasa, Jenny, Shalala, Ishan.
And the spreadsheet, it doesn't have
Oh,
student teams. It doesn't have the thing from the meeting, but
okay.
Also, a brief point
I got the
of
two.
information. I believe we have this room booked till 9, but nobody's after us, so we're gonna stay in here unless we get kicked out.
Yeah, not too glamorous after, right? Mufasa, and then Sip, I got you.
Like, I think Jackson basically said it. We cannot fund all this. We don't have the money, and we have a lot of other stuff, especially for SGA. I think we have our inauguration. We are card dinner. So I'd also say that motion to end the moderator caucus.
I second. Thank you. 9 people.
Oh.
All those in favor of ending the moderator caucus, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say nay. Any abstentions? Okay, I get it. Yes.
Well, table this.
Well, that's first reading. This is first reading. No, it is tabled.
Still came up.
No, it's first reading.
Oh, that's fine.
Okay, I guess we're going on to the SAC guidelines.
Okay. Hi everyone. Oh my gosh, I'm feeling shy. I've never been up here. Hold on. Okay, so I have a couple of changes to make to the SAC guidelines. I ran this by the finance committee, and there's been a couple of things that we've noticed reoccurring while we're giving out event requests, and a lot of them include fundraisers, student clubs not being aware of that, as well as them having a lot in group funds and not wanting to spend their own money and instead just asking for money on top of money that they already have. So with that being said, there's some updates that I wanted to add to the SAC guidelines. One being to be funded through semester allocations. Group must have one fundraising event per semester, and this is something that was introduced last year that will stay with the SAC guidelines. Another one, if clubs have at least $750 in group funds, the SAC has the right to deny any funding for the RSO either in semester allocations or event grant requests. And all clubs are subjected to an audit anytime during the year if they request funding, which means that they would have to do a complete breakdown of how they spent their money during that semester. Additionally, clubs with over 1,500 in group funds what? Okay, so
Okay, I wrote that wrong. But clubs with over 1,500 in group funds requesting any type of funding must send a breakdown of how they plan to use their group funds. Otherwise, all requests will be subjected to an immediate rejection. Scrolling down to new groups. Instead of $150, we will be giving groups $100. They're a new group. Oftentimes, we see clubs with small amount of members requesting large amount of funding, and it's like, where's the correlation? Scroll down a little bit more. Non-reusable prize items. Right there, yeah. So one of the line is of this category is semesterly subcap, $75 for cash deposit and $125 for all other prizes. When you add that up, that equals $200. $200 times 2 semesters, 400. Annual cap's 500. That didn't make sense. I don't think there should be a subcap on prize items. So, like a semester subcap, that was completely like discarded. Discarded. Yeah. Okay. Moving on to food. And food. Scroll up. Yeah. A lot of clubs that have a large event open to the public often request more than $5 per attendee, especially with inflation. We want to change that subcap to $8. Move down to travel. We want to fund at least 8 members. So 1,500 divided by 200 was not an even amount. I think it was like 6 point something or 7 points. I can't do mental math right now, but 200 times 8 is 1,600. So we're changing that annual cap from 1,500 to 1,600. And that's it. And also I changed Sophie's name because Obi, I don't know if anybody remember Obi. She was the finance chair. Sophie's name has not been on this guidelines. And that's it.
We'll be voting for this after spring break. Another thing is the caucus amendment.
Sure. So this is a recent.
Do you get committee consideration waived by the chair?
This is first reading.
But you still have to have committee consideration.
No, not for first reading.
Right, for bylaws, it says that you have to have committee consideration waived if you're gonna put it into the sign.
Wait.
Okay.
So you need a parliamentarian. Anyways, all right. So a long running concern that we've had since the spring of 2022 is what is going to happen to our caucuses after we transition. If you recall, the last amendment we made said it so that you had to have 20. My brain cut off for a second. 20 members active. And if you dropped under the threshold of 20 for any 2 consecutive weeks, your caucus would basically be inactivated. And then like your representative in Senate would become non-voting. So currently, not all of the caucuses are projected to reach 20 by the time we transition. So we're hoping to make some adjustments that include some more flexibility so that caucuses have the opportunity to build up their membership. This is the point of today's review is just to take a look at like the general concept that we're aiming for, see if it's something that we kind of think might work, and see if there are any like loopholes that we should consider or something like that. So the idea is we still want to try to aim for a membership of 20, but we don't want to cut caucuses off the moment they drop under 20, basically. The idea is we want to give them, it should be like 3 semesters approximately. So the idea is at the last day of a semester, as long as they've had at least 20 members of their caucus or like people that identify as members of their caucus show up to caucus meetings, then there's no problem at all. like they retain their active status. If not, then they'll enter a probationary status. There's no like consequence to that. Basically, it's just a way to let the caucus know that they should like do more outreach, et cetera, et cetera. And so they can retain this probationary status for several semesters. So the idea is if they let's say like this let's say like in the first semester they miss it on the last day, so in the next semester they're on probation. If they miss it again, they enter their second consecutive semester of probation, and if by the last day of that semester they still haven't, so that's like 3 semesters in, they still haven't met the threshold in any of the semesters, then we would inactivate the caucus. But this gives them it gives them like 3 extra semesters worth of time to make sure that they have the representation. That is more or less it.
Most good, sir. The 5-minute moderated caucus one, 10-minute moderated caucus one.
Any seconds?
Second.
All those in favor of moving into a 10-minute moderated caucus with 1 minute speaking time, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say nay. Any abstentions?
It's just like I don't really see the point in having a member limit, especially because minority groups we are minorities, so there's not a lot of people who are going to join from that like small population, and as well as Hopkins students are also really busy, so sometimes they feel like they just can't be a member even though they want to contribute. And I feel like members don't necessarily have to go to meetings in order to contribute. Like most of what I do in the Black Caucus, we just have a chat and we talk about issues relating to what we want to do, things that we want to see, questions they have for me as the caucus chair, and it's like I don't really see the point in just like having all these rules of like what a caucus should be.
I have quite a big deal with this particular bill, even now if we're presenting the changes as is, because it's not accurate. It actually doesn't even feel genuine for a lot of the students. This feels like a huge misrepresentation for a lot of minority groups, especially because that's what the caucuses are. These groups are basically a lot of cultural, ethnic groups. I mean, there's Latinx caucus, Black caucus, Disability caucus, and to be saying, oh yeah, you know what, we'll be cutting down your representation because you don't have 20 people, it feels kind of huge. No, like we're representing SGA, we're representing an entire body. That body does not disappear because 20 people are not active in a committee. That body is still active in Senate. I mean, that body is still active beyond the Senate. They're in the SGA community. So to me, it doesn't make any sense for us to even have that cap to begin with.
Yeah, I just really quick one point. That is what is already like in our current. Yeah.
So like, if we're gonna make any changes, the limit has to be 5, and I don't think we should have it. If any, we shouldn't have it at all.
So that's like maybe something you can make in a different purchase. Jackson, and then someone raised a hand over there. Elena.
I did want to say from the Disability Caucus standpoint, I want to agree with Shalala. A lot of what we do and most of what we do tends to be done in group chats, and a lot of the members aren't necessarily formal members. It's more just people come and go through the group chat and share ideas, which can make it a little bit hard to define what you're going to say is, okay, is this a person, a formal member, or are they just kind of contributing every once in a while? I think that it would make more sense to drop it down to about 10 people. Part of the reason for that is because ultimately you do want more people to be wanting to get involved with SGA. You don't want there to not be an incentive for getting more people in SGA, just because I know that sometimes it can be really hard to keep caucuses going, because I know that we with the Disability Caucus have had some issues this semester in kind of keeping student engagement. But I also do agree that 20 is a large number of people that are formally willing to say I'm a member of the caucus. So moving it to a happy median, either 5 or 10, is probably the best way to go. I yield the rest of my time.
Elena.
I agree that group chats are also contributing. I think the main thing is that we need a standard way to know what a member is, even if it's not in the Constitution. That should be in the caucus rules bill. And I also want to say that also you are right that a community is still active if they don't have a seat. And I think that is why it is okay because there are still members in SGA that have these identities and that are representing the community regardless of whether there is a seat for the caucus on SGA.
Mufasa, Jenny, Jackson.
My point is that if we just opened up the new SGA structure to be inviting of a lot of parts of campus life, not just like we have it specific, we have it from like our caucuses to religious, fraternity life, to everything else. So it doesn't make sense for us to really like start cutting these people off if they and well I haven't really looked to check if they also have their limits. But again, it doesn't really make sense because these are groups that are active, these are groups that have some kind of identity here. But that's not what I also wanted to mention. I did say if you guys are set on having this set on this bill, which I honestly don't recommend, I feel like we should take it all, like we should take out the caucus amendment and actually just eliminate the cap or the floor limit. What I would say is like other committees have like 10 people in like old SGA. If you want to keep it within like 5 to 10 people, that makes more sense. Group, like an organization that is just starting up and like a student organization that is just starting up that requires 10 people. Doesn't make sense for the cap to be 20 for us and for student organizations to have 10. So
Jenny, Jackson, Ryan.
But you could take one.
Okay.
I just said like obviously I think everyone here knows that it's like really hard to like recruit people into like SGA in general, but also SGA related stuff. And like we clearly see that in like this election cycle when clearly one person ran for a caucus position. And I feel like rather than incentivizing like recruiting, I feel like this is just like putting a lot of pressure on like the caucus chairs to like focus on recruiting, like rather than like actually addressing like the issues that might be like confronting these communities and these groups. And like yeah, and I feel like that actually risks losing like more people than like actually bringing people in.
Jackson, Brian.
I just want to make like small one.
To you.
Oh yeah, point of information. There was 16 vacancies in the entire SGA.
Yeah.
So just throwing it out.
You'll play Mark?
Yeah.
Okay. So I wanted to say, I think that the definition that Ryan put, is that an amendment? I think it's a pretty good one. A member shall be defined as a student who's attended at least one meeting of the caucus in a semester. So if you have a number of meetings, you can hit that threshold pretty well, I would say, as long as you're having meeting faces show up at every meeting, because they could be at different meetings. And I do think that at least, since it's giving you like a full like 2 semesters, chances are you'll hit at least 10 unique members by that point that have attended a meeting, especially if we start to go back to maybe having like in-person caucus meetings that have more programming around them. So ultimately what I'm going to propose is that we amend it to be that the caucuses must maintain a membership of 10 Homewood undergraduate students. But I guess the question there is, should that be including SGA or should that be outside of SGA? Because we do want to make sure that we're getting people from outside of SGA as well involved in SGA. I yield the rest. Thank you.
No, so great suggestions. I think this is just this is a first pass. I think just written briefly based on the amendments that we passed, like that we agreed to last spring. So I think definitely lowering the cap has like that's something we should talk about, like 5, 10, whatever we think is appropriate. Or no cap. I mean, generally, I think the idea is to encourage a little bit of additionally motivate the chair to recruit more people. There may be other ways we can do that, but that's all up for discussion. So that's what today's for.
Yeah, I think that's all. I'd just like to thank you for Ryan for bringing this up because I'm pretty sure my caucus technically should not exist because there were some points where we did dip under that mark. So I think it's good that we bring up these inconsistencies. So I guess if that's the end of first reading and there's no second reading, anyone have any prospective legislation and or announcements?
Just really quickly, point of order, if you have to leave for religious things and just go into prayer, just notify one of us, that way we can mark it down and we don't mark you as a late, early departure.
Sorry, we'll go really quick on this. So basically, if you read in Senate only, I have an idea, like a number of ideas that I'm working on. One of them's for us, but then the rest of them is for everybody in the student body. So we'll see where that goes, but I'll give you more on that as it goes. Thank you.
We have a meeting with Howard today, and they have me do a lot of updates. And I think the main two things were the toilet covers being installed in AMR, which we discussed in November, so they're working on that. And then also they're fixing up Roger's house, so they added like a washing machine, and they're painting it to make it brighter and things like that. So it's more of a
Yeah, very quickly, I had a meeting with Grubhub. They really want us to help promote their discounts because it's already free for all the students, but students are not aware of all the discounts going on. So they hope we can send out Instagram and emails about it.
Would they give us free money?
Just yeah, those things we do that.
Who raised their hand?
Oh, I just want to suggest if you're doing another table university, we should do something actually fun, maybe like themes, so it's not like the same one shoe again. So I was just gonna say, if you want me to say anything to the academic deans, please say.
Anybody else? Go ahead.
Just gonna vote.
Huh?
Vote.
Oh, wait, what's that?
Oh yeah.
One announcement. Thank you so much for newsletter and Tim for being here for 2 hours. No more prospective legislation and announcements. Like
Motion to end the meeting.
All those in favor?
If anybody is interested in working with the pre-health thing, I know I got a couple of messages, but I'm gonna make a group chat. If anybody is interested in working with the art department-ish to get a concentration in fine arts, I had some students reach out to me regarding that. And then reading that is exactly what I wanted to do, so let me know. If you guys wanna help with that, I'll be meeting with Robin on Monday. The end.
I guess. Here to motion. All those in favor of adjourning the 26th Senate meeting, say aye. Those opposed, please say nay. Any abstentions? Also, they just stepped in and had a box of swabs. If you want to hand these out to people, somebody give them a call.
Thank you, Caleb. What's going on? I need to go. Thank you.
Any chances that you're working on a transition document?
I will have one by the time.
Got it. Thank you.
That'll be fine.
I know that I hate to stop. I mean, you know, the doctor, so I'm going to go. So, thank you.